9 feet concrete posts, 10 feet concrete posts, and 12 feet posts are not a good idea for fencing. Yes, these concrete posts that are tall, they usually look very attractive, but in the long term, they are not very reliable. One post begins to lean, and then it starts to drag the others around it, and before you know it, the entire fence is down. Now, after fencing a piece of land with over a million shillings for, let's say, 10 acres, or over 100,000 shillings for a 50 by 100 using concrete posts, it's very heartbreaking to see to come back to your land and find out that all your posts have fallen down and your investment is gone. In this video, we are going to discuss why fencing using tall concrete posts that are over 8 feet tall is not a good idea. And we're also going to explore reasons why these posts fall and how you can prevent it. Before we begin, let's talk a bit about ourselves.
Welcome to Msingi Fencing Company. This is our full-time job. Our job is fencing pieces of land with all kinds of posts, whether concrete, cedar, treated posts, regular posts, plastic posts, all kinds of posts.
Why do concrete posts begin to lean and fall? The first reason is digging a very shallow hole. Now the standard hole is usually around 2 feet deep for most fencing posts. Let's say 8 feet post, 7 feet post, usually dig around 2 feet tall. Now the problem is most people when they fence land using the taller posts, let's say 9 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet posts, they still use the same 2 feet hole. Now, of course, those posts will be very unstable because that depth is not enough for those posts. The recommended depth is usually around a third of the posts. A third of the posts should be buried underground. Now, when you put a very tall post in a very shallow hole, that post will of course be unstable and it will begin to fall. The second reason why concrete posts, the tall ones, usually lean and fall mainly is due to soil erosion at the base. As you can see in this section here, the base of this the soil has been washed away by runoff. Water from up there has flown down and come and slowly over the years it has washed away the base of the posts. This is another big problem, especially near fences that are near a place where there is runoff. That reason why concrete posts usually lean and fall is because of improper corner supports and not using enough supports between the posts. Now, we always recommend that you should place supports, these kinds of support here. These are the supports. This is what I mean by the supports. And the corner posts should be well supported. Now, we always recommend clients to place supports every 30 feet to 45 feet. That's around between 10 meters and 15 meters to make sure that fence is very rigid and very strong, such that even if one post begin to fall, the supports near it will hold the fence really strong. The fence will still be really strong and it will not lean. But if I see some people placing supports every post like 30 meters or even the entire length of the post of the fence has no supports. So it means if one post falls, it will drag the entire fence down after a few months or a year. Also, the corner posts, you need. I will recommend the corner post should be bigger and stronger than the regular posts along the line of the fence. So the corner post should be bigger. They should be even dug deeper. And that's what we always recommend. The fourth reason why these posts begin to fall is because of the top design. As you can see, the top of these posts usually have a bent arm, or it's called a cranked arm. Now, that top section is heavy and it's not straight. So of course the gravity works in very wonderful. So that top section will begin to drag down that post, and the post will begin to lean and fall. So that's another thing to note. The fifth reason why this post fall is because of poor setting. The setting is the concrete mix that is poured at the base of the post. Now, if you use an incorrect mix of cement, sand, and ballast, of course that post is going to be very weak. The concrete mix is going to crack. Or if you don't put enough water, or you put too much water, or if you don't let the concrete to at the base to cure properly, that post is of course going to fall. Now, there are other reasons that may cause the soil around the concrete posts to shift and cause the post to lean and fall. For instance, the clay soil usually expand and contract, which may affect the, the stability of the posts. If you didn't align your fence correctly, the the fence does not have enough tension. If you don't tension your wires correctly, the barbed wire, then of course the post will also not be very stable. Also, there is vegetation pressure from the roots and the limbs of trees around. If there are trees and shrubs around the fence, then they may begin to affect the fence by leaning against it, or even at the bottom, they may affect the roots may start to push against the fence. Also, there is cattle impact. Cattle usually like to rub themselves against your fence. So if they start to push against your fence and it begins to lean, then your fence is at high risk. Also, if there's the post near a gate, if you do not put proper supports or proper pillars around your gate, then the fence will begin to fall. The concrete posts around it will begin to lean towards the gate because they are carrying too much load of the gate. So it's recommended you put strong pillars near the gate to prevent overloading your concrete post. Also, most times if a single post gets damaged, let's say it cracks, or it just cracked, maybe the design it was not built correctly. If that concrete post gets damaged, maybe it completely cracks like you can see here, then that entire fence is at risk, if especially if you don't have enough supports around it. So those are some of the reasons why concrete posts usually fall. So what are the solutions to prevent concrete posts from falling? The best solution we always recommend clients: choose short concrete posts between 7 feet. 7 feet are usually the straight ones, or 8 feet posts. These are the best posts. They rarely fail. Because they are not too tall, and they are not bearing so much weight at the top. The bent arm is not bearing too much weight and causing the post to lean. These short posts are the best. Of course, it's just like in terms of football, or they call it soccer. The short players, the short players are usually very difficult to trip and fall down. They don't easily fall. They have very good balance. This the same applies to concrete posts. The tall posts, they don't have good balance. The short ones, they are very stable. Even without too many support posts, they will last for a very long time. Another way to prevent concrete posts from falling, of course, is to dig deeper holes at least 2 feet for six concrete posts that are around 6 to 8 feet. You need at least 2 feet holes. The whole of the make the holes deep. If it's 9 to 10 feet, go use 3 feet holes. a 12-foot post, you need to dig at least 4 feet. But does that make any sense? Imagine 4 feet of the post is underground. And you know what that means? It means at the end of the day, that post will be just 8 feet tall. So I select a tall post, and at the end of the day, most of it will get buried, and it will be now the same size as the shorter post. So just select a shorter post, which you don't have to bury too deep. Other ways to prevent your fence from leaning is to set your post using the right mix of concrete. Now, also you need to have very strong corner posts. You need to space your support posts the right way. We talked about 30 to 40 feet, around 30 to 40 or 50 feet. Yes, don't skimp on support post. Don't ignore it. It will end up costing you the entire fence. Also, you need to regularly, of course, you need to regularly align your, you need to regularly inspect your fence to prevent, to see whether there are anything that is, any posts are leaning, and then you need to redig that hole and reset that fence, or you need to add new concrete or even support that post, add supports near it. Okay. Yeah, you need to inspect your posts regularly. Also, when building the fence, of course, you need to build a well-aligned post. You need to tension the wires correctly so that they hold together the post correctly. Yes. So those are just a few things you need to know when choosing concrete posts. So what's the bottom line of this video? Choose concrete posts that are between 7 feet and 8 feet. Anything more than that, and you'll start dealing with leaning and falling issues. These short posts, they last the longest and they are very secure. The fence will remain stable for very many years, and you'll not have to always be redoing it and realigning it. Yes, they last very long. We in Msingi Fencing Company, fencing is our full-time job. Every kind of fencing, whether you need to fence with Kakuzi pressure treated wood, whether you need regular timberyard posts, whether you need to fence with plastic posts or concrete posts of any size. That's our job. We also do perimeter walls. Reach out and we provide free quotations. Bye bye and see you in the next one.